Congress is pushing for a vote on the War Powers Resolution. Joining us now is Jonathan Hullihan, attorney specializing in national security law and a veteran of both the Iraq and Afghanistan wars. He has expertise in international law, kinetic targeting, and intelligence. So, Jonathan, good afternoon. Now, first, President Trump today gave some insight, giving insight into what led to these strikes on Iran. I have a clip. Let's watch it.
We were having negotiations with these lunatics, and it was my opinion that they were going to attack first. They were going to attack. If we didn't do it, they were going to attack first. I felt strongly about that. So if anything, I might have forced Israel's hand, but Israel was ready and we were ready, and we've had a very, very powerful impact because virtually everything they have has been knocked out now.
So, Jonathan, Trump says he had to attack first. What does this mean for any potential war powers resolution that Congress may be taking up?
Well, I mean, when you look at the war powers resolution, it really is a reporting and a consultation statute. He's required to report to Congress within 3 days of introducing troops into the conflict. But at the end of the day, he's commander in chief under Article 2 authority. And even if it weren't a sudden or imminent attack, I think the strikes that he has taken on not only Iran, but their proxy networks, I mean, this transcends multiple administrations, going all the way back to President Bush, President Obama. They struck these Iranian-backed proxy groups, Kataib, Hezbollah, other Shia-backed militia groups of the IRGC, Quds Force. So even if there was or was not intelligence to suggest an imminent attack, it was well within his Article 2 authority to do so. Now, the War Powers Resolution, I agree with Speaker Johnson. I mean, it is a little bit too soon to introduce any kind of restriction on the president as commander-in-chief. So that's why he's commander-in-chief of the armed forces. He has a duty and responsibility to protect personnel, territory, vital interests, the Straits of Hormuz. All of these things are in America's interest, and that's why these attacks have been taking place.
So, but the Article 1 of the U.S. Constitution gives Congress the power to declare a war, right? And even President Trump has called it a war. So what is the legal argument then for the president exactly, his authority in this war?
So, I mean, I think just by historical precedent, when you look at all the strikes on the Houthis in Yemen and all the other Iranian-backed Shia militia groups all throughout the Gulf, even Soleimani, I mean, we took out Soleimani in 2020. He was the head of the IRGC outside of Balad, or the Baghdad International Airport, under the logic then was Article 2, but also the authorization of use of military force from 2002, because they were supporting forces in the fight in Iraq. So the argument is to call full-fledged declare war. That is a congressional authority. While I do agree with that, it's not been the historical precedent for these short duration strikes to protect American interests in the region. So while there is a place, obviously, for Congress to declare war under separation of powers, he's commander-in-chief of the armed forces. So it's a delicate balance. And I think the president's doing everything possible, again, to protect the lives, property, interests, the freedom of navigation operations in the Gulf. All of those things are in consideration and fall under that Article 2 authority.
So let me ask you this. Secretary Rubio said yesterday that there is no law, actually, that requires the president to notify Congress. I didn't really understand what he meant by that. Maybe you can elaborate a little bit.
I think maybe what he was talking about was in advance of attacks. Like I said, it's a compliance statute, the War Powers Resolution. He has to notify Congress within 2 days, 48 hours of introducing those troops into hostility. So there's no advance notice required. Obviously, that's a security issue in Congress. Who knows, as far as the classified information, how it gets leaked out. That puts troops at risk, especially when you're talking about flight operations. All of those things can be at risk if you notify Congress in advance. So that's why it's a 48-hour notification after introducing hostilities to protect American lives from conducting those military operations.
So let's talk a bit more about the War Powers Resolution. How much power does it actually give Congress to check the president? I mean, what are the consequences if it's passed?
If they pass it, they can restrict troops. I think this draft that I saw would be to restrict troops or continue operations after 30 days of it passing. But again, it has to pass both chambers, the upper and the lower, Senate and the House, and then the president can just veto it. So they definitely don't have the votes to override a veto. So at the end of the day, they can restrict the president from introducing further operations. And they would use the power of the purse, obviously, to do that. But I don't see it. They don't have the votes. I don't think they have the votes for the resolution. And I definitely don't think they have the votes to override a veto, which President Trump would certainly veto any kind of resolution restricting his operational authority as commander in chief.
Okay, just one last thing on my mind here, Jonathan. President Trump said today that if the U.S. didn't attack Iran first, Iran would have dealt a blow to the U.S. Now, I'm thinking if this is true, if this situation is in fact the case, does that give different powers, new powers and authorities to the president?
Well, I think he's responding to, I've seen some of the constitutional analysis out there from the Brennan Center saying that he can't use his Article 2 authority unless there's a sudden attack or imminent threat, which is actually not true. Again, if you go to the historical precedent, look at President Biden. I mean, he struck targets in Yemen, in Syria, and these were all Lebanese Hezbollah, Kataib Hezbollah, all of these Iranian-backed Shia militia groups. These are all proxy networks of Iran. That's what's not being articulated. Even though there's a geographic border and we're striking the heart of the Iranian leadership, we've been using this authority under Article 2 and the authorization of use of military force in the region since really 2002, 2001. President Bush has done it. President Obama has done it. Trump did it in his first term. Biden did it. Trump's doing it again. Again, the span and scope is a little broader, but I think what President Trump is really trying to do is fix this problem set and not just kick the can down the road to the next administration where Iran will continue to fund these Shia-backed militia groups, export terrorism around the world, and continue to be a national security threat to the United States. So he really is taking this serious to fix this problem set for at least the near term and hopefully the long term.
Okay, I think that about covers it. Well explained, Jonathan. Thank you so much for today.
Thank you so much.